Something or someone trying too hard to be cool, almost to a point where it's cringeworthy. The early 2010s were truly a special period for anime. It was a period characterized by excitement and change. However, looking back, it also seemed like anime was going through a little bit of a metamorphosis. Or an existential crisis. It felt like anime fans, but also anime itself, tried to really prove that it could be more than just Saturday afternoon cartoons. That the medium had potential to not just appeal to a specific group of nerds, but rather a mass audience. The rise of social media made it easier for people to connect and build communities. But even among people strangers to the subject, anime started to have a growing presence. Albeit not always in the most positive light. So, keeping all of this in mind, how do we change anime's public image? Well, according to anime studios who released their projects during this time period, the answer would lie in a red bodily fluid every one of us is all too familiar with. I don't know if you guys remember, but during this time, anime just had like an absolute hard-on for exaggerated violence. We had shows like Another, Mirai Nikki, Akame ga Kill, Tokyo Ghoul, and of course the show we are gonna talk about today. Deadman Wonderland. The first time I watched the show was like a decade ago, and all I really remember is that it was an absolute slugfest. And after rewatching the show now, older and more mature, well, definitely older, I can safely say that I was correct. The show starts off with a complete massacre of a middle school class, with the sole survivor being our main character Ganta. In the following minutes, the show will is introduced to its law system that must be Ace Attorney level of fucked. So basically everyone believes that this middle school dipshit managed to rip 25 people to shreds in a matter of seconds without any indication as to how he was supposed to have done it. Bro, what do you mean he concealed the weapon? What kind of weapon are we talking about here? A fucking artillery? Anyway, I recommend just leaving your sanity behind for this one because it only gets crazier from here. So despite being a literal child and the evidence being very scarce, he is just immediately sent to death row. And where? Well, at no other place than the privately owned prison Deadman Wonderland. And as you can already imagine, he is forced through all kinds of terrible things here. The best way to describe this prison is it's basically a giant Squid Game. Contestants, which are the prisoners, have to compete and stuff, and if they fail, they dead. In Deadman Wonderland we get introduced to all kinds of characters. Most of them are pretty weird. Like the mysterious girl Shiro our main character befriends. This guy who was literally me for real because he was clearly never touched by a woman before. Or this prison guard MILF with G-cups. I did literally not make this up. G-da. God, I wish that was me. Now, like I already hinted at, the show has a thing of trying very hard to be shocking and evil at every single turn. AKA edgy. You can usually tell that a show is gonna be pretty fucking edgy if they have this stock splatter sound. You know the one I'm talking about. It's the... It even has this Linkin Park sounding as intro, which by all means is not a bad thing, but it just ties into giving you a certain impression of the show. The dialogue is also very unhinged at times. These motherfuckers have a vocabulary like a Call of Duty lobby in the 2010s. I think this is the first anime I've seen where they actually censored some of the dialogue. So maybe this isn't the type of show you should choose for Christian family time. You know, in case you couldn't tell. I don't know if the show is trying to get some message or social critique across, but to be fair, it's also kinda hard to focus on that when you have body parts flying across the screen every 5 minutes. That was obviously a hyperbole. It's more like 6 minutes. But if I get the gist of it, it's basically about how sometimes the real monsters are not the people in the prison, but maybe actually the people who keep them there. Or in short, society. Although there were some decent moments here and there, and I certainly enjoyed certain aspects of the show, like the setting, I feel it just kind of falls short overall. A show that's constantly just about terrible things happening terribly just numbs you at some point. You know, there's a difference between something that is just forcefully dark like this show and a genuine tragedy. A tragedy gives you hope, so it can forcefully rip it apart from you in the perfect moment. But when I watch this show, I just feel like there isn't really a point. It's just people dying and getting tortured over and over again, but very rarely did I feel like there was actually anything gained from it. There is no deeper introspective or plot development. For the most part, it's just a compilation of violence. We get some attempts of backstories here and there, but it's nothing really worth mentioning, I think. Most of the characters die anyway before you can really get to know them. I guess the show just felt kind of rushed. I'm sure the manga is better because of course it is, and I might actually read it because it isn't too long. But nevertheless, this show is just kind of a mess. Still pretty entertaining though, so... Well, and that's all for today. I'll see you soon. Bye.
I'm gonna do what's called a pro gamer move.
No.